Videos of the sudden rush of water flowing into Colorado this week have been tough to miss. Streets that look like rivers. It got our Nelson Garcia thinking, how do city engineers plan for massive amounts of storm water, especially like the rains we've seen this week?
It's going to go that way, so some of it will go down Locust Street.
For decades,
meeting the water that's coming out of here.
These eyes were always focused on days like this.
You know, can you walk through water this deep, this deep, this deep?
Brian Hyde was a floodplain manager for the Colorado Water Conservation Board and knows how to design for floods, like sending stormwater to places like Expo Park in Aurora instead of into homes and neighborhoods.
When it rains like it did the last 2 days, I think about those days when it was way worse than that.
Days like this, when water used to flood I-25, leaving people and cars stranded. Later this summer, this stretch of I-70 north of Denver will begin reconstruction. Right now, stormwater runs along the viaduct underneath, but engineers plan to change that so the highway can handle intense rain, according to CDOT's Rebecca White.
It's basically a series of detention ponds and other engineering features that allows us to stop the water, slow it down, and move it on so it never touches the highway.
The new design will have the highway below grade, which Hyde says is a bad idea.
You're going below a floodplain that was only recently mapped in detail. You're going below grade and then trying to figure out a way that you can protect something that's lower than the flood elevation.
And then the design solution really comes in with big pipes and detention areas. And once we size it right, the solution is not that hard.
The City Park Golf Course is being redesigned to also control floodwater in this area by creating focus basins to keep neighborhoods safe and help along I-70.
And when we do projects like this is our chance to get a 100-year fix in there as well.
Hyde hopes engineers have everything all thought out.
And I guess that's part of what I feel here. We've got to do better than what we're doing right now.
From a guy who's had water on his mind for a long time. For Next, I'm Nelson Garcia.
I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. It may be dry in your neighborhood now, but probably not for long. National Weather Service has Denver under a severe thunderstorm watch and flash flood watch as we look at all of the moisture streaming into the state from the southwest, interacting with the weak front which has dropped in from the north. Slow-moving storms could produce another round of flash flooding along with hail. We're seeing just enough heating that we're seeing some severe storms develop north and south of the city. While the city is quiet for now, a flash flood watch out for southwestern Colorado. We've already seen some heavy flooding rainfall there and hail up in Weld County as well as down around the Colorado Springs area. Tomorrow, another round of afternoon storms, the potential for heavy rain back in the forecast as that tropical flow from the southwest comes north and then east. And then we have another little weak weather system crossing the state during the peak heating of the day. And so tonight, flash flood watch, severe thunderstorm watch, chance for heavy rain and hail, some clearing late, then fog, temperatures in the 60s. Tomorrow's high similar to today, another round of afternoon storms and heavy rain. A little bit drier Friday and Saturday, cooler on Sunday with a good chance for rain, and then we move you into Monday and Tuesday next week with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Outside right now, some areas are dry, but we do expect rain before the evening is over, and we're already seeing it in Fort Collins tonight.
Had a busy couple of days, Kathy. Thank you. We are getting a better idea now about what made a road collapse in Sheridan, swallowing a woman's car on Oxford near Santa Fe. An Inglewood stormwater line gave out last night. That line runs under Oxford. That blowout washed away 15 feet of dirt and gravel supporting the road above. Same thing happened back in 2015, creating another sinkhole about a half a block away from there. The city of Sheridan is now working with Inglewood on a short and long-term fix for the plumbing in that part of the roadway. It'll take about a week to get Oxford back open. By the way, the woman whose car fell in there, she is searching for the man who helped get her out of the SUV before it fell in. So if you know who he is, we can connect them. Just let us know. She wants to thank him. The city of Denver made a big announcement today. We told you about it first yesterday, but try to act surprised, okay? Denver Public Works is unveiling its pilot program for dockless scooters and bike sharing companies. At this point, about 1,700 scooters from 5 companies, including Lime, Bird and Lyft, another 950 bikes. The electric scooters aren't supposed to be on the streets. They're supposed to be on the sidewalks, yielding to any of us who are trying to walk there. We'll see how that one goes. May the odds be ever in your favor. Political ads aren't all dark and gloomy. There's one out right now that uses Scrabble to tell a story. Our Marshall Zelinger puts it to the truth test.
Radical. Now add this.
Radicalifornia?
That's what you get when you bring radical left-wing policies to your state.
Ah, policies that already failed in California.
Since this ad hasn't made a specific claim yet, let's review what we know. Radicalifornia, or Radicalifornia, would never fly on a Scrabble board. It's just not a word. Why? Because the dictionary. Without any doubles or triples, radical would get you 10 points. California is worth 15 points. Radicalifornia would get you no points and annoyed looks from whomever you're playing with.
Polis wants higher taxes. Polis wants to put tens of thousands of energy jobs at risk. And you can forget fixing our traffic problems.
Normally at this point in the ad, you'll see something on the bottom of the screen referencing some legislation, a news story, a news article defending the claims made in this ad. Take a look. Nothing on the bottom of the screen. So I reached out to the people responsible for the ad, the Republican Governors Association. They provided me 8 pages of reference material. But when you're sitting at home watching the ad, you're not provided this information. And come on, you can't use blank tiles to create 2 words. The blanks are for whatever letter you want them to be. Based on the content of the ad itself, the claims are flimsy and unsupported. By the way, the Republican Governors Association is based in Washington, D.C. Would that be Coloradington or Washing Auto? Steve, I got paid to play with Scrabble today.
You did?
So if you want to read through all that supporting information that the RGA conveniently left off the screen, I'm going to put it online. You can digest it at your own pace. And after I lectured the RGA on the rules of Scrabble, here I am with proper names, but there's one that's missing here. So let's add a little Steve. Did I do that right?
Did you get a double word score there?
And you have the V, but you can't beat my coveted Z, 10 points.
That's true. It's a big one. Marshall, thanks. That's 13 Scrabble points. I'm pretty sure I did the math, I think. We'll see. Maybe somebody will call me out. All right, the Denver Post is facing criticism from conservative outlets across America. It is over a letter to the editor, and Kyle thinks those critics are actually missing something.
Conservative media outlets across America are outraged at the Denver Post for printing a letter to the editor that suggests President Trump be executed for treason. Now, people who read the actual letter to the editor will be relieved to discover that it doesn't actually say that. Suzanne from Lakewood's letter does, however, suggest the president is guilty of treason, which Suzanne notes is a crime punishable by death. You know, I'm encouraged to see conservatives outraged that such treason talk might have dangerous consequences. I'm sure they'll be equally disturbed to learn another American citizen has been making frequent accusations of treason. I found 3 examples of this other citizen, a Donald J. Trump of Queens, referencing treason, most recently about journalists who wrote things he didn't like. Now, perhaps the reason Suzanne's comments are causing so much concern is because Suzanne is in a position of influence and power. I checked today. I couldn't find her occupation, though I'm fairly certain she didn't recently accept a position as the head of a government that has actually tried and executed people for treason. Let us all hope that no unstable person, spurred on by the words of Suzanne from Lakewood or Donald from Queens, chooses to burst into the White House or a newsroom armed with a gun and the idea that they're going to dispense justice to traitors. So perhaps we should all pump the brakes on accusations of treason when talking politics. That goes for both Suzanne from Lakewood, occupation unknown, and Donald from Queens, the most powerful man in the world.
Chalk this up as another reason we can't have nice things. Denver Parks and Rec says it likely will not replace a piece of public art, popular piano in the center of Civic Center Park, after it burned early this morning. The deputy director of Parks and Rec told us the department has evidence that someone was starting fires at the park early this morning. Denver Fire got the call about this piano fire around 2 o'clock. The fire department says it is still investigating the cause, but Parks and Rec Deputy Director Scott Gilmore says with several other fires and garbage cans around the park this morning, it appears someone did this on purpose.
That person that started the fire, that artwork was for them. That artwork was a piece of art for them to enjoy every day, and they just took something away from themselves. And so now, not only did they take it away from themselves, but they took it away from everybody. So that's just really sad.
So it's been a tough week in that park. Earlier this week, someone hit a stone fence with their car. It's going to cost a lot of money to replace that century-old fence because Parks and Rec will have to go out of state to find the stone to replace it.
A bunch of people at Rocky Mountain National Park are great examples of that's not how you Colorado. There's an organization in Denver that's making sure refugees have the tools to apply for college and for scholarships and everything in between. And we meet the people behind the scenes and in front of the camera who are hoping their films can change your perspective on the world.
It's a dream come true to be in Denver and to finally bring 5 Point to the big city.
Next.
Here's another example of people doing something that reminds us that's not how you Colorado. Look at these people in Rocky Mountain National Park getting up close and personal with a moose. No. Jeff Buchanan took these photos from the other side of the lake with a 600mm lens. These other folks are right on the shoreline just checking out the moose. That moose could do some serious damage to you, and that is not how you Colorado. So figuring out the college application process is hard. SATs, financial aid, campus visits, it all can be confusing. Now imagine all of that confusion with English not being your first language. Byron Reed shows us how one local organization is trying to make it easier for refugee and immigrant students to understand the terminology and to actually get ready for college.
One's on this side, two's on this side.
Making your own path in life.
Does that make sense?
Means coming up with an idea.
What are credit hours?
People were getting discouraged because college seemed like this big idea that is so confusing.
College, you'll take 15 a semester. That's pretty standard.
A thought that many of these students didn't even think was possible.
We have kids of varying English levels because we work primarily with refugee and immigrant students.
See you?
Denver?
Yeah.
The students are coming from places such as Burma, Sudan, Syria.
They're part of a group called On Track, or Training Refugees Accessing College, a 7-week summer program that helps refugee and immigrant high schoolers who want to pursue higher education.
A lot of college access and terminology is hard for a native English speaker, and it's made even harder by the fact that they don't know the school system very well.
The group has been around for 3 years to help keep students on track.
So often they come in, I'm going to be a nurse or I'm going to be a doctor, and they don't know about majors like sociology or psychology. So we try and provide that background for them.
Maybe something their parents weren't able to do, figure out that pathway in this new country, all the financial aid, how to fill out the application, how to get scholarships.
They want these students to feel a sense of community in a new country and make it easier to decide what they want to do next.
We don't want them to be discouraged from achieving those dreams just because it's hard to figure out.
For Next,
Yes.
I'm Byron Reed.
So On Track is supported by private foundations, funding through the Colorado Department of Human Services, corporations, and private donors.
We get a glimpse inside the minds of filmmakers who are hoping their work can inspire people to treat our Earth better. It's 5 months from Christmas today, but we found a little boy in Lakewood in a Santa suit. You need to meet him. Next.
The most Colorado thing we saw today is the Outdoor Retailers Night of Stoke. Stoke. You know, get excited, fired up, pumped, stoked. The Outdoor Retailers Trade Show is mainly limited to people who work in the outdoor industry, but last night they opened their doors to the public in an effort to inspire activism. Photojournalist Mike Grady was there to see just how stoked everyone was.
Let the parade of Chacos commence.
Giving them to people in line, anyone in line.
Meredith McKee's stoked to be working like crazy tonight.
With any given event, the first time you throw it, you know, there's a lot going on, so it's all good.
She's running this operation for Carbondale-based 5 Point Film Festival.
The official Stoke delivery system of the Night of Stoke.
So the Night of Stoke really exemplifies why Outdoor Retailer is in Colorado.
All of the films that you're going to see here tonight that are filmed in the U.S. are filmed on public lands. Give it up for that.
Without public lands, our outdoor industry doesn't really have a place to film, a place for people to enjoy.
5 Point's first show in Denver features some Colorado stokers, like filmmaker Michelle Smith.
Frenchie is about 82-year-old Jacques Huot. He's a downhill mountain biker and skier.
And Colorado native Steve Brown.
This film, Beyond the Horizon, is about our head guide, Rankin Coleman Jackson, coming out of gang life into being a fly fishing guide as a result of our friendship.
It gets a little awkward seeing your work on the big screen.
It's a little strange still.
Being in a crowd while my film is playing is a completely horrible experience. I actually hate it.
Still, for these Coloradans, the effort is worthwhile.
These people are inspirational and they're telling their story.
Just love telling them and inspiring other people and making other people kind of think out of the box as well.
I'm happy to be up fronting that story because it's been helping so many people, man.
The Stoke couldn't be higher. For Next, I'm Mike Grady.
A portion of the proceeds from the Night of Stoke went to the Land and Water Conservation Fund. You can learn more about how they are working to preserve our public lands in Colorado on the next page of 9news.com. Hey, may I make a recommendation where we point you towards something that is not ours but is worth your time? There's a really thoughtful Twitter thread that you should check out. It's from Jason Pohl, a former reporter at the Coloradoan. He's now working for AZ Central in Phoenix, and he had a very meaningful phone conversation with a 76-year-old woman named Josephine. She called to talk to him about a story he wrote, which he said usually isn't a great conversation. I've had that one before. But instead, Jason made a new friend. Josephine asked him about the state of journalism, his concerns about the future, and she even asked him for advice before he asked her for advice. The thread will make you have faith in humanity. We've retweeted it on the Next account if you want to check it out. We have a new segment here on Next that we call You Have Crossed a Line. Your chance to tell another Coloradan that they are literally out of line. Like this white car definitely crossed the line. A Next viewer named Tom spotted it last week in Boulder near the intersection of 13th Street and Lowry Lane right off Pearl Street. We're not sure what their intention was here, but they're definitely taking up 2 spots, and they're parked horizontally in 2 vertical spaces. Send us photos you see of cars that are out of place. Just use the hashtag HeyNext. There's a 3-year-old in Lakewood you have to meet, and if you ever do, he might have a gift for you. We'll tell you about him next. There are a lot of people who would freak out if they had to start thinking about Christmas right now. It's a stressful holiday after all. But there's a little boy in Lakewood who thinks about Christmas all year round, and he was spreading some holiday cheer last night.
This is Andre. Andre loves Santa, and Andre loves to dress up like Santa too. Our boss Patty Dennis spotted him walking around her Lakewood neighborhood last night. Andre's dad told us he asked his folks to wrap up his own toys so he could give them out because he knows it's summer and the real Santa is busy making toys for the winter. Dad says Andre wears this suit about twice a week and he'll wear it all day too. He even takes naps in it. Mom and Dad think he got so fascinated with Santa after the family went all out on Christmas decorations.
So the family made cookies yesterday too, and apparently Andre said that he wanted to eat a bunch of them so his belly would grow faster like Santa's. Listen to a man who's eaten a lot of cookies, Andre. The belly is not worth it, and it's really tough to kind of make it go away. Your feedback now. Simon Garcia says, treason is a serious accusation. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your willingness to say what needs to be said. I will never stop watching or being a fan. Simon, of course, talking about Kyle's commentary there. And then Bonnie Smalley writes in, Steve Steger, you are fun and exude nerd, which is A-OK. I enjoy watching you sub for Kyle. So I guess I'll push up my imaginary glasses and say I'll see you next time.